But for us, traffic driving is only one component of what it takes to operate a best-in-class Amazon business.
I'm Bryce Gracie, host of the EZee E-Commerce podcast, and this podcast is dedicated to boosting your trajectory towards international success through connecting you with e-commerce and Amazon experts, all with something different to offer. Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the EZee E-Commerce podcast. This podcast is dedicated to creating a platform for experts in the e-commerce space to come and share their knowledge of the e-commerce industry. I'm your host, Bryce Gracie, and today we are going to have a chat about how an e-commerce seller can go about building their brand on Amazon and beyond, and how leveraging off the agencies and proven experts in the space through advertising, account management, and optimization can be a lever for local and global growth and scalability. Naturally, I won't do this all myself. So we have brought in Dan Brownsher, who for many needs no introduction. He is an internationally renowned e-commerce and Amazon retail commentator and writer, as well as the president, co-founder, and CEO of a full-service marketplace agency, and here today representing CHANNELKEY. Welcome, Dan. How are things going?
Good, Bryce. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Life is good. Happy to be here.
It's good. I love the positivity. So maybe to kick things off, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and then about CHANNELKEY in general?
Yeah. So let's see. My journey is an interesting one. About 14 or so years ago, I co-founded a company with some college buddies out of the business school at Ohio State. That business is called Trend Nation, and it's still around today. It's still doing quite well, and it's a product business. And we started selling online back in 2008. Sourcing goods from Alibaba, selling them through eBay, selling them through micro sites we created, and then ultimately starting to sell through Amazon.com. And so that business, again, it's a product business. So we were acquiring inventory. We started as private label, then we became a distributor, and we're a reseller of brand name merchandise in the early days, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. Essentially doing retail arbitrage on branded merchandise. So we'd walk trade shows. I live in Las Vegas. My partners are in Las Vegas. We'd walk trade shows and buy merchandise from Tommy Hilfiger, Kenneth Cole, selling wallets and handbags and just a lot of SLG. And so that was kind of our come up as it relates to e-commerce and Amazon. And what we realized in 2013, 2014 was that that ecosystem was changing, at least in our view of the world, where for a time we might be the only reseller of a certain product on Amazon because it was still pretty new. But eventually more competitors came into the space and we started competing on price. So the retail arbitrage thing for us, we felt was not a protected business. There was no moat around the business, and we said we want to pivot, and so we did a couple things. We tried a exclusive distribution model where we would go to brands and say, "Hey, let us be your exclusive seller of Tommy Hilfiger wallets." You go to Tommy Hilfiger and say, "Tommy, we want to be your exclusive seller of wallets on Amazon, and in exchange for that, we'll provide you all of these extra services. We'll fix your product detail pages. We'll run your advertising. We'll build your brand store. We'll do all of these things for you in exchange for exclusivity." Okay, so we buy the inventory, but it was contingent, or it hinged upon the brand's ability to control their distribution. So we tried that for a while. We were also retinkering with private label for a while, and we said, you know what? Ultimately, after a year or two, our thesis was the real way to win on Amazon long term is to own the brand. You got to own the intellectual property, own the IP, control the distribution, own the brand, and get first cost or second cost directly from the manufacturer. So we bifurcated the businesses. We said Trend Nation is a product company that is going to focus 100% on private label. So that's that business today. And then we said we're going to create a service-based model or an agency to help other brands create these best-in-class Amazon businesses. So similar to what we were doing with exclusivity is we're going to provide you all of these services, but we're going to buy your inventory. We said, no, we're going to let the brand own the storefront, okay, whether it's a vendor or a Vendor Central account or a seller account through Seller Central. They own the business, but we will act as their agency to operate that business. And so that's kind of the background. So Trend Nation is fully functioning today. My partners run that business. And then CHANNELKEY is a full service agency supporting brands and manufacturers on Amazon and in Walmart.com. So that was a long-winded answer, Bryce. Hopefully I touched on the points you wanted, but that's kind of my journey in the e-com and Amazon space till today.
Fantastic. Wow. Honestly, it sounds like quite a journey. But I guess another question I have on that is, so Trend Nation is obviously quite successful, and it is still currently operating, correct?
It's operating. Yeah, we sold a majority interest in that business last year, and it's become an aggregator, right? So we're bolting on Amazon private label businesses on top of the Trend Nation platform. So yeah, it's very much fully functional today. And doing quite well.
Sure. So would you say that obviously the experience behind selling yourself, selling on different platforms, not only Amazon, kind of puts you as an expert in the space when it comes to operating as a full service agency?
Yeah, 100%, Bryce. I believe that's the case. If we were to start an agency today supporting Amazon, it would be very hard for us to have a full service offering. Because it takes time, it takes experience, it takes making mistakes to understand actually how to do it. And so there's a ton of agencies out there right now. And from our view, most of them aren't doing full service. They're doing advertising, right? It's primarily driven around traffic driving, which is important. But for us, traffic driving is only one component of what it takes to operate a best-in-class Amazon business. And so yeah, our experience in making all of these mistakes and acquiring inventory and sending into FBA and labeling and dealing with all of these problems, I think really paved the way for us to be successful as an agency, give us credibility, and just flat out knowing how to do it. So yeah, I think it's a game changer for us. It's one of the uniques for us and one of the reasons why our clients choose to do business with us today.
Brilliant. I mean, to be honest, if I'm an Amazon seller, I'd want to go to someone who has the mistakes that have already been made, so that I don't have to make them myself. I think
that's what I say, right? Bryce, we've made all the mistakes, so you don't have to. That's exactly what we said. So you nailed it.
That's brilliant. So obviously you yourselves went through a little bit of problems. What would you say is one of your more difficult client cases over the last couple of years, and basically, how did you deal with that? How did you solve it as a full service agency?
We've probably worked with 200 brands over the years, and we've seen so many problems that have surfaced. So it's hard to like pinpoint one or pinpoint the nastiest problem or a thing that's happened. I mean, I can tell you, like, and this is very in the weeds. We have a client currently, and they've been with us for years, and we sell live plants. We're selling live plants on Amazon, and it's a really productive business, and it does quite well. Comes with its own set of challenges. You talk about supply chain issues. Well, try selling live plants, right? That brings a whole other set of supply chain challenges to the table. But I don't know. For that business to get it off the ground, we had to help them migrate all of their SKUs to a new SKU naming convention while retaining all of their reviews on Amazon. Okay, so this is like a very nuanced, in the weeds problem that was really important that we had to solve, because we didn't want to have to start their ASINs from scratch with no momentum and no reviews. So how do you, on the back end, from a very technical aspect, change their entire SKU naming convention while retaining all of their reviews? And we did it. We figured it out. It helped improve their ops on the back end. We recreated all of their advertising. All their A+ content remained. But that's one of those problems that if you don't know how to do that, and you say, you know what, we need to fix your SKUs. And by doing so, we're going to start over from Amazon. It could have set them back years. And so that's something that comes to mind. I have countless other examples of these types of issues that we've solved over the years.
I can only imagine. And to be honest, I'm hoping that if there is a seller that will be listening to this podcast that has similar kind of issues, they know who to come to for this. Because I think it's the more nuanced, small, tiny issues that doesn't come up as often where agencies show the most value. Because it's where you're kind of taking a deep dive into that brand's business and kind of assisting them in every aspect that they can.
Yeah, and back to this kind of idea of full service, right? Like we could have created the most amazing advertising campaigns in the world for this brand. But if we weren't able to solve this account management issue or this data issue on the back end, we could have rendered those advertising or that spend useless. It might not have mattered. And so like this, I don't know, there's an analogy we always use. It's like operating an Amazon business is like flying a plane. And all of these dials and everything has to be functioning simultaneously for you to be successful. I don't know, the operations component and the back end and how our clients do business on the platform and maintain the health of their business, in my opinion, is almost more important than some of the, more sexy topics around DSP and traffic driving and brand stores and all these things. It's all important, but if you can't operate your business properly on the back end, none of that stuff matters.
So it's almost like you're piloting that plane and doing the dials and fixing the dials for and on behalf of that Amazon seller.
That's right. That's how we frame it out. And so we get the plane off the ground and we make sure everything continues to function optimally. And it's hard. It changes. You mentioned supply chain, and if you stock out or have issues with product, it changes things. And so yeah, that's how we view it. That's how we view the world.
Brilliant. So then I guess one of my next questions would be just going back to CHANNELKEY as an agency, as a full service agency.
Yeah.
You solve a lot of problems and issues, both common and rare, as we've spoken about now. But what would probably be your most common problem that CHANNELKEY solves? Yeah.
So it depends on there's a life cycle. Every brand has a life cycle or an evolution on the platform. Our clients typically are doing anywhere between 1 and 50 million a year on Amazon. Okay. So like a guy that's at 1 million might have different problems than a guy that's at 40 million, right? They're just different problems. They're at a different phase. But if I had to single it out today, like is around the cost of doing business on Amazon and finding ways to be more profitable for our clients. Okay, so specifically supply chain costs, transportation costs, but also advertising costs are going up right now. It appears, and you got to check the numbers on this, but retail volume in total is slowing down a bit, and e-com is slowing, but CPCs are way up. Okay, so how do we continue to grow our clients' businesses in an increasing cost structure, primarily driven around advertising? So that's the most, in my opinion, common issue that we're trying to solve today is how do we find more profitability for our clients?
Okay, I mean, that's an important problem to solve. And I guess that profitability problem, it can be analyzed in so many different aspects of the client's business.
That's right.
And I'm assuming you guys will dive straight in, and no matter what aspect of the business needs to be solved for, you will assist.
Yeah, sometimes it just boils down to what can we control, right? There are certain things that we can't control, right? Amazon raises their storage fees, right? And so, okay, are we going to continue selling through FBA? Do we need to come up with a hybrid fulfillment strategy? Like sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. But typically the one variable cost that you can control is ad spend, right? So what is our ad spend strategy? Are we using full funnel? Are we conquesting, or do we need to dial it back a bit? And when to pull off spend and really lean on organic conversions to drive more profitable selling. So yeah, it's a function of what are the elements we can control, and then what's the best way to reanalyze that cost center and figure out if there's another way to solve it.
And I guess if we have to pivot the conversation to quite a common topic that comes up with our client base at ZEE, and that is global expansion, because we obviously are primed to talk about global expansion, and this podcast is also somewhat angled at that perspective. But then I guess the question would be around, a ZEE client is listening to this podcast now.
Yeah.
And they would like to know how they would benefit from CHANNELKEY and CHANNELKEY services for global expansion.
Yeah, so it's a good question. It's a loaded question. Okay, so let me frame this out in a way. I'll try and do this quickly, and then answer your question at the very end. So on average, around between 8 and 9 different individuals touch our client accounts in a given month. Okay, and each of those individuals has a specific job or a function. It could be an account manager doing casework. It could be an operations person organizing or doing project management on the back end. It could be an advertiser running advertising, developing strategies around advertising. It could be an analyst doing forecasting. It could be a member of our leadership team reviewing the account and looking for more opportunities. It could be a graphic designer, okay, that's working on a brand story plus content. It could be a copywriter that's building new listings, doing keyword research, trying to optimize titles, bullets, descriptions, all of these things, right? So like that's what we do. That's how we approach the business. And so for folks that are looking to move their business internationally, we provide all of that, okay? So if you're selling in the US and all of a sudden you want to launch in Germany, okay, well, you've got to set up a new account. We've got to work through your catalog, the translations. We've got to reinvigorate or develop a strategy around your advertising spend, your traffic driving initiatives. And so all of these core elements to running a business don't change. Whether you're selling in the US or Germany or Australia or Singapore, all of the fundamental core elements are all in place. Now, they might be at different stages. So typically Amazon in the US is, a handful of years ahead of where Germany is at. And so, fortunately for us, we get purview of that. Like we know what's coming in these international markets because we're operating in the US. So that's where it would come in, is operating and standing up a business in another marketplace that requires all these critical and core elements to operating that business. So that's what we do. And when we partner with ZEE is helping with the setup, okay? Helping with the VAT, helping with the infrastructure. Like we talked about the operational components being absolutely critical to building a long-term viable, scalable business on Amazon. Well, ZEE helps our clients with that, with a lot of that setup on the front side and making sure the business can function at a high level.
Fantastic. So it's almost like you can, to some extent, predict what a seller will need going into a new marketplace, say, for instance, in Germany, because you've been through that within the US. So obviously, predict is quite a difficult one, but to some extent, you'll be prepared for what is needed at what life cycle that the brand or the seller is in.
Yeah, essentially, Bryce. Yeah, what we say is we want to flatten the learning curve, right? We want to flatten the learning curve. We've done it. We've seen it. We've been through this before. Now, it doesn't mean there's not going to be problems and there's not going to be issues. There's always issues. There's always problems. Things are always changing. But in essence, we're professionals. We've done this before. We've seen a lot of things. Let us help you flatten the learning curve.
Brilliant. Sounds fantastic. So you've already at CHANNELKEY, you guys have done a lot. Even at Trend Nation, you've accomplished a lot. You are successful in the space already. My question is, what is next for you? You've done so much, but what are the plans for the future?
Yeah. So some of the things that we're working on right now, and we've talked about Amazon. We're bullish on Walmart.com. So we're supporting our clients on that channel right now. It's still years behind Amazon, but we believe if there's a player, at least in the United States, that has the wherewithal, infrastructure, capabilities to compete against Amazon, we think Walmart is a good, viable option. And so we've leaned into Walmart, and we'll continue to lean into Walmart as another channel to support. Some of the other things we're working on currently, doing them, or initiatives we're leaning into is external traffic driving into Amazon. Okay, so today we're a verified Amazon partner. We're members of GAPD, so we've got access. We've got access to data, knowledge, insights, beta programs. Amazon sends us clients. They send us leads that we work with. But most of that work, that GAPD work, or that verified Amazon work, is within the Amazon funnel only. Okay, so DSP down to sponsored product ads, so their ecosystem. And what we're seeing is that with ad costs going up, there's a real opportunity to arbitrage ad spend for lower cost with external traffic sources into Amazon, like Google. Okay, so buying Google traffic that points into Amazon, that in a lot of cases is cheaper than the Amazon CPCs, and it is it's looked upon favorably by the search algorithm at Amazon, because we're in essence converting a new customer that was not on Amazon, that came from an external source that converted. And so it really helps with search placement. So that's a big initiative for us right now. And also in general, retail media. DSP is a big component of our business right now. And finding advertisers, endemic to Amazon and or non-endemic, that want to leverage a high funnel placement on Amazon properties or OTT or on non-Amazon properties, and leveraging that. So placing more retail media spend is a really big initiative for us right now. Leveraging DSP, leveraging OTT, and finding these advertisers that want to lean into a high funnel strategy and get placements, more obscure placements or more retail media driven placements, as opposed to, bottom funnel looking for a product conversion. So those are the things we're working on right now.
That's a lot, but all of that sounds extremely value enhancing for a seller. And to be honest, I know the value that Walmart's currently bringing, and how brands are leveraging both Amazon and Walmart within the US for maximum kind of penetration into the client base.
So Walmart's still small in comparison to Amazon, but it's coming. We think it's coming. It's a viable play long term.
Last question would be, whoever is listening to this podcast, where can they find you online?
Yeah, it's two places. Go to CHANNELKEY's website, so www.channelkey.com. I would suggest signing up for our blogs. We put out a lot of thought leadership, a lot of content that you can access by signing up or following CHANNELKEY on LinkedIn. I really suggest following CHANNELKEY on LinkedIn and then following me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with any of our listeners.
Brilliant. Well, fantastic. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on our podcast. So more than happy for this partnership and to see how we can grow each other's bases as well as grow each other's companies with the services that we provide for global expansion, local and foreign markets.
Yeah, absolutely, Bryce. I'm happy to be here, and ZEE's been a great partner for us in helping our clients with their expansion needs. So I agree with you. It's a good partnership. It works.
Thanks for watching the EZee E-Commerce podcast. Click here for more episodes and follow us on our socials link below. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe.